Well, good morning. How are you all today? Happy Saturday to you. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I want to talk today about the importance of preparing for a total collapse. And some people are going to think, well, I can't do that, but I'm going to explain that you can, and a little bit how to do about it, why it's important. Before we get there, a couple of quick announcements. Hey, I just got done with uh, with my first edit of my seventh book on wings like eagles, and I'll be sending that off to the publisher. The files off to the publisher later today to have them print up and send me a proof copy for me to go through the second edit. So hopefully that book will be available for everyone in for probably the first part of July. I would hope. We'll see how that. Sometimes these things go pretty fast, and sometimes they take a little bit longer. We'll hope for fast because I know a lot of people have been asking about it. By the way, my books, the Stonemont series, set a record last month, the month of May, on both Amazon and through our website. It's great to have so many of new readers out there, and people who have read through them multiple times. I know you all are waiting for the book number 7. So that was cool when I realized it set a record. It's always nice, to see that. And of course, the more books that are out there, the more people are understanding the importance and the way to go about really total preparedness, preparing for the collapse of everything. Because I say the Stonemont series is the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. The links, if you want to get the books, if you haven't gotten them yet, are down below in the information section. You can either get them through Amazon, which get them to you really quickly, and you can get them there in paperback or Kindle or Audible. And the Audibles, people are loving the Audibles. You can get them through me, through our website, stonemont.us. I don't get them to you that quickly. I'll be real honest because we keep selling out. For instance, I've been sold out for a week, and I'm waiting for the printer to get me the next load in. And when I do, then I'll get them all signed and shipped out, and then I'll probably have to order another load after that. So if you would like a signed copy from me, and that gives me a chance to write a little note in it to you also, which I love to do, feel free to do it. Do it through our website, stonemont.us. If you want them quickly, do it through Amazon. The second is that the first annual Integrative Preparedness / Stonemont gathering is scheduled for July the 13th. It's going to be in Lenexa, Kansas, which is on the Kansas side of the greater Kansas City area. It's a great location, a great, nice, safe, wonderful, beautiful part of town. And it's going to be nice. July 13th. You have to register to come. We have people from coming all over the country, it looks like. I am going to have to limit the number of people there because the venue itself has a limit on it. I'm not going to talk about that. Now, if you want to come, I would just suggest you get registered, and you can also you can bring guests. Let me know how many people are coming with you. They don't all have to be members. They don't all because you're the member, you bring a guest if you'd like. It's going to be a nice day, just getting together, meeting everybody. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Everybody's looking forward to meeting each other. We'll have a nice day of just hanging out. There's a nice little lake close by. There's a larger lake real close by for fishing if you want. You can rent canoes. You can rent paddle boats. You can rent whatever. There's hiking trails everywhere, and there's camping close by. To get more information on that, go to the Stonemont website, stonemont.us, and go to the events tab. Hit that. It'll take you to the page that you can register. Doesn't cost anything. We just need to know how many people are coming. And by the way, I think I showed everybody that this is the official mug for the gathering that will be available for everyone who comes who would like to get one. And it turned out beautifully. It's the the bison head, and then on the back, of course, it has what we always say, and that is prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Semper Paratus, always ready. Okay, so hope to see you all there. But like I said, I'm going to have to kind of limit the number of people, but they're making me limit the number of people. Otherwise, I just say everybody come. But so if you want to come, get on it, get registered. Okay, you need to be prepared for a total collapse of everything. Now, I think a lot of people in the preparedness world kind of hesitate about that. They don't understand maybe what it means or what it entails or why you should be uh, prepared for or prepare for and then be prepared for a total collapse of everything, because the idea of everything collapsing, even though people talk about it a lot, it just doesn't make sense cognitively, does it? I mean, we can't imagine. Most of us live pretty good lives, and the idea that everything could collapse is just, it seems insane, right? But if you look at the world around us, you look at the internals of the United States, and it's mostly the same for most of the countries viewers live in: Australia, the UK, Germany, most of Europe, Canada. You look at the decay in our countries. You look at the increasing violence. You look at the corruption of government. You look at the open borders and the violence that is coming out of that. You look at, for instance, in the United States and the other countries actually also, the increase of violent extremism from foreign groups. You look here in the United States with the pro-Palestinian uh, protests, riots. That's going to get bigger, and that's going to pose a very real danger here in the United States. And I don't expect, and I've said this before on previous videos, I think we have definitely seen the best of times in our country. We have seen probably the most peaceful of times. It goes downhill from here, because I don't see any way that it doesn't go downhill. Things are collapsing. So there we have an internal collapse. If you look at the worldwide situation, you look at the situation in Ukraine, that everybody, all the Western countries want to get us into a world war. You look at the situation between Israel and Palestine and Iran and many other places. Those places, shall I say, those challenges are the foundation of an international collapse. We've seen things like this before. When it comes this time, it's going to be even more catastrophic than it was before, simply because of the improvement of weapons, the fluidity, if that's a word, of international agreements. Okay, it's probably the most dangerous time. I mean, look, Russia's sending more nuclear capable vessels to Cuba. When's the last time that happened? When I was a kid. The United States has a weak leadership, so do most of the Western countries. We've elected nitwits. They're very smart. They're smart at destroying our own countries, but they're weak, and the world sees that. So that sets us up for an international collapse. Everybody accepts the fact that there is going to be a financial collapse. There's no way around that. You can't continue to support an economy with, what is it, $34 trillion in debt, with many more hundreds of trillions of dollars in unfunded liabilities. The inflation, pretty much worldwide, because the way that America goes, the way the United States goes, I should say, it affects everywhere. So pretty much everybody understands, if they've been paying attention, that an economic collapse is imminent. How can it not be? Okay. Then you have the social collapse. The societal expectations have, if not completely disappeared, they have certainly been minimized over the last 40 years. And we don't have the social cohesion that we used to have. And by that I mean, I say this often. 50 years ago, or even more, when I was a kid, you couldn't find a person. Doesn't matter their political persuasion, their religion, their race, it doesn't matter. You couldn't find people who thought that would tell their kids it's okay to cheat in school. Okay, you couldn't find, for the most part, people who thought that living off the government and other people was a great way to live. Back then that was looked down on. Okay, now it's held up. Now, well, I won't get into details about that, but you all understand what I mean. So when we look at those things, uh, internal collapse, international collapse, economic collapse, and what was the fourth? And societal collapse. That's total collapse. And so that's what I'm talking about, total collapse. Now, how do you do that? As I get there, I want to address a couple of things that, a couple of comments that came up on yesterday's video that I think illustrates the failure to understand the problem on the part of many people. By the way, let me throw this out too about comments. I will pull comments. I will pull comments if they contain profanity. There's no reason to do that. An intelligent person can express themselves without cussing all over the place. So that's it. If you put a link in a comment, it's caught by the filters. It won't get on. I do not allow people to come on here and talk badly about other channels. Okay, it doesn't matter whether I like the channel or not. It doesn't matter at all. I don't talk badly about other channels, and I don't allow people to come on here and do it. Don't do it. If you don't like a channel, don't watch it. Okay, but I don't understand the mindset that wants to spend time going around cracking on other people. I know. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Don't do that. Now, also, do your best to make your thoughts clear. There are a lot of times, and I read every comment, and I try to respond to every comment, even if it's just putting a heart on there that says to let you know that I read the comment. And sometimes I'll give a thumbs up, and sometimes I'll give a short response. But if I have to try too hard to understand what you're saying, or if I feel that there's some kind of hidden message in there, that's some kind of racist, sexist, whatever it is, I'm going to pull it, because this is a channel for people who want to come together, learn, converse intelligently and politely. Courtesy is very important. A lot of people, I think, have forgotten that courtesy is important. And I love coming on here, and I love making the videos, and I love reading the comments. I don't love running across somebody who has come on just being a total butt, So I take that off because it doesn't serve any purpose. It's not adding to the conversation, and I couldn't care less about how many views. One or two comments I'm taking off doesn't affect me at all. Okay, all right. Now, a couple of days ago, I put up something on the Patreon channel, and if you're not on Patreon, I invite you to join us. I put a lot more stuff over there than I do on the YouTube channel. The link for that's down below too. And it was a quote. Every day I'll put up something. Well, it could be a quote, it could be scripture, it could be anything, or my thoughts about something for the Patreon. It's kind of a, let's start our day with this thought or whatever, and then it lets people comment, through the day. And one that I put up was by George Bernard Shaw. And it said something to effect, and I may not get this exactly right, something to the effect that the person who says something can't be done shouldn't interrupt those who are doing it. Okay. Now, what does that have to do with preparing for total collapse? Well, everything. Because so often I will get, and I got a number of comments on yesterday's, when I said stock up now, and I always say stock for 7 years. Okay, it's biblical. It goes back to the story of Joseph. Now, most people don't understand the real story of Joseph. They think that Joseph was a big prepper. Uh-uh. No, he wasn't. Well, in a way, he was. He prepped for the government, and as a result, he enslaved the people. If you didn't know that, I'll do a message on that tomorrow, because I'm going to do another message for our church here about the importance of preparing and the importance of not being in a situation to where you're relying on the government or anybody else. Okay. And I had some people come on. Another thing that I would suggest, please don't come on and I always get people who want to argue scripture or biblical concepts. And I would say 99.99% of the time they're wrong. They've gotten it wrong, but they want to argue with me. Resist the temptation to do that. Okay. I will, if you put on a comment that misleads other people as to biblical concepts, I will pull it. This is not a free speech zone. And then somebody will come on and say, you don't believe in free speech. Free speech is a constitutional right that applies to the government, not to YouTube channels. Okay. So anyway, but I had people come on and say, that's impossible to prepare for 7 years. I've prepared for 2 or 3, but I could no way do it for 7. Well, if you can do it for 2 or 3, you can do it for 7. Okay. You just get more. You see, there's a simple concept there. You just get more. You got 2 years, then, times it by 3 and you're close to 7. Okay. You got 3 years, just a little bit more than double and you're close to 7. And somebody else said, I think somebody said I'd need 7 houses or something like that. No, you don't. You see, here is somebody who is, and I'm not cracking on them individually. This is a mindset when they hear something that's so far beyond what they think they're able to do or have done, immediately, instead of saying, that makes sense, or let me think about it, or how can I do that? Instead of saying, how can I do that? They say, I can't do that. And you've heard me say a million times on here that, like they say, that success often comes from a strong will and failure from a strong won't. That's where so many preppers stop themselves. I can't do that. I won't do that. I had somebody call me crazy. Just because they won't do it, I'm crazy, right? And it doesn't offend me. It doesn't bother me. I get a kick out of it. I read these things to Kelly and we roll our eyes, but it's I feel badly for the person because it's showing me that they're not going to do this. Okay, so my talk has been wasted on them, or maybe they'll think about it later and go, oh, you know what? Maybe I ought to consider that. I hope so, because they will be better served if they do. You first off, you have to understand, and this goes back to Shaw's statement, those who say that something can't be done shouldn't interrupt those who are actually doing it. Okay. And that's what I suggest. Now, if you look at all of the things that are in the process of collapsing that make up a total collapse, you see that it makes total sense to prepare for a total collapse. A total collapse. What does that mean? That means you're getting no help from anybody. Okay. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we've had an EMP or a CME or anything, although it could. Our enemies could take our grid down like that, and I suspect that someday they might, and I'm sure that someday there will be a CME because science indicates that. And so that's why I say prepare for it. If you are prepared for a year, that may not be enough. Think about that. 2 years, 3 years. If there's a real collapse, imagine what a total collapse is. Now, why would you not want to be prepared for that? And then if you say, well, I do want to be prepared for that, and what does that entail? That means that you don't need to go outside your own reserves for anything. And that means food, water, shelter, defense, and people. And other things, but those are the main things, okay? You don't have to go. You have everything you need. And for the person who says it can't be done, I will tell you, thousands of people have done it. The fact that you won't do it means nothing. It just means that you won't do it. For those of you who think, well, this is kind of a daunting task, right? Yeah, it can be. I mean, for those of us who started years and years and years and years ago, it's been a slow process. If you're somewhere lower on the spectrum right now, it can seem daunting, but just keep taking one bite of that elephant after another, one step ahead of the next, get you wherever you want to go. It just takes you however long it takes you to get there. Okay. So start now, but set your sights on that. Realize that for you to be able to comfortably survive a complete collapse, and now somebody's going to come on and say, it's impossible to be comfortable in a collapse. Depends on who you are, man. It depends on how prepared you are and where you are. Okay, it depends on your situation. So I got off on a tangent there for just a second. But if you understand the very real possibility, or let me put it this way, if you accept the very real possibility of a total collapse of everything, you should understand the importance of preparing for it. And I know, there are people who say, well, I wouldn't want to live in a world like that. Yes, you would. I mean, you would not prefer it to the life you live now, but between that and dying, you would. People are just like that. Okay. Now, how do you go about this? You just, like I said, everything that you need, you keep getting more. Now you're going to hear the person come on and say, but it's not all about stuff. Skills are more important. And I say, did I say don't develop skills? You see, here's an interesting thing. People who don't want to do the work will always latch on to something small in something and then dispute it. It's the old straw man, right? They set up something that's easy to knock down, thinking that has made a point that it really hasn't made. I had a comment on one yesterday by somebody who claimed he was a doctor. And when I was talking about, I was recommending a place to get meat. It's the meat broker that we get our meat from. And I explained, I said, well, it's and there was something else too. What did he say? Oh yeah, I was talking about buying in bulk, and I talked about how years ago I was at a grocery store and they were clearing out a whole bunch of large Tylenol of the 250 or 500, I forget, big ones, for $1 a piece because they had hit their expiration date. And expiration dates aren't that important when it comes to those kinds of things. They might degrade slowly from then on, but whatever. And I bought all of them. And then I was talking about the place that we get our beef, and I said, now it's grass-fed but grain-finished, but that adds more fat, and that can be important, for calories when you are, wanting to stock. And really, I don't rely on frozen goods, for long term, but for now, until your freezers go out or until you run out of gas for your generator. I said, that's grain puts on the fat, and that can be very important. And this guy comes on, he claimed he was a doctor, and his point was that, grain-fed results in a kind of fat that can cause inflammation, and Tylenol does something or other. I don't know. Okay, as if those were important. We're talking about either dying or being well prepared. And I says, hey, we're talking about the end of the world, and people have something to eat, not people looking for a perfect diet. Okay, I don't think that, rice, beans, pasta, that's a horrible diet for anybody to follow. But it's easy to stock. It's a lot easier to stock than meat, okay, unless you have cattle, to be honest. But see, these are things that will get some people. They are the stumbling block of some people. And I answer these people back. So it falls under the don't leave a stupid comment category. And just a second, I feel somebody coming down here. Okay, I just had to stop for a second because my oldest is headed off to work, and I always take a break and say goodbye when they do that. So this is the perfect example, as I was saying, of somebody who doesn't want to do it, but they find one or two little things that they can argue with. And I have to wonder why in the world would somebody spend the time, getting on and typing out such a ridiculous statement. But don't let those people dissuade you. Am I recording? Yes, okay. Didn't know if I'd unpaused it. Don't let these people dissuade you. Okay. If you hear somebody, minimize what you're doing. If you hear somebody say, well, that's stupid, forget it. They are just somebody who isn't going to put in the work. Now it's up to you to decide whether you are going to put in the work. And I suggest you arrive at that decision by taking a good hard look at your responsibility, because I always say, preparedness is responsible. It is the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate irresponsibility. A responsible person prepares for an uncertain future. A person who does not prepare for an uncertain future is simply irresponsible. And I often have people leave comments, well, I try to do this, but my husband or my wife or whoever, they're just not on board. They make fun of me or what. And I think, would they make fun of you for having your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance or your life insurance? Would they make fun of that? No, they see that as being responsible. But assuming the responsibility for the quality of your own life, they don't see that as being responsible. Don't let those things dissuade you. Okay. Yeah, the day will come, and it's going to be a sad day, but the day will come and they'll look at you and go, well, I am so sorry. Thank you. Thank you for buying these beans that I'm eating now. Right? And I don't know how to tell everybody to handle those situations. It's going to be different for everybody and different personalities. I just tell you, don't let it bother you. You do what you think is right. Okay. And it's too bad. Usually a person who makes fun of other people about something, there's a little bit of, selfishness, but there's a little bit of low self-esteem there. Usually it's because they didn't think of it. If they thought of it, if the guy who thinks that it's unimportant to stock food against an uncertain future thinks that it makes total sense to spend $2,000 on a new set of golf clubs, right? Yeah. So understand, I know a lot of you are not a part of a team within the family. Hopefully you have people outside the family who have some understanding, but if you don't, it's up to you to shoulder the burden. And it can be a big burden, I know, because you want to, and it's important to prepare for more people than yourself. So if you're thinking about, having 7 years, wow, I mean, that's a lot, right? For just a family. We're a family of 5. It's a lot. It's a lot. But then I realize also that there are people that I would want with me after a total collapse who aren't preparing. I do want them with me, so I need to be able to support them as well. You know what comes into that? What I always say that just drives so many of the people who think they're preppers, and they're not. They're just people who buy crap. When I say you need to make more money. And they hate it because they don't want to make more money. They don't want to do what it takes to make more money, or maybe they can't think of a way to make more money. I don't know. But come on, it takes creativity, it takes imagination, and it takes hard work. Opportunities are everywhere in this world, but they're usually disguised as hard work. And that's why people don't recognize them when they see those opportunities come along. And people don't want to do that. And so when I talk about the importance of making more money, there's a whole segment of so-called preppers out there, and I don't consider them preppers, who just want to stack stuff and learn how to to live on a very low level life. Okay. Well, I got a rock and a piece of string and a pocket knife, and I'm good with that. Well, I'm being facetious there, but they tend not they think all about living very primitively. I don't. I've lived primitively. I don't want to. That's why I don't. Okay, that's why I work to make the money to get the resources that allow me to live not primitively. Okay, and you can do it for the future too. It just takes work and it takes money. And for the person or the people who say skills are more important than stuff, I would say, yeah, if you want to live a Stone Age life, they are. But notice that I didn't say don't develop skills. Have your skills. Stuff makes the skills go farther. Somebody should put that on a t-shirt. Maybe I will. See, another business opportunity. So just realize we're in a dark tunnel right now, and we see a light at the end of the tunnel. But that light is not the next opening. It's the headlight of a train that is bearing down on us. And when it gets here, it's going to be a total collapse. And you need to be ready for it. And you can be ready for it. It just depends on whether you're willing to put the work in, okay, and the investment in. So I hope that you will do it. If you want the complete plan, like I say, my books, that's what I wrote the books for. The complete plan. You want to know how to prepare to live a good life after the total collapse of everything? That's what the Stonemont series is about. But you can do it if you are determined to do it. And don't let the naysayers dissuade you from it. They don't want you to succeed. They want to hold you back to their own level of failure, so that when it does all collapse, they'll be able to sit there with you and go, well, I guess we're all going to die. Nothing we could do. They don't want to have to accept that can of beans from you and admit that you were right. Okay? All right. Hey, just one last reminder. Remember the summer gathering, the Integrated Preparedness Stonemont Summer Gathering coming up July 13th in Lenexa, Kansas. Go to stonemont.us. Go to the Stonemont website there. Go to the events tab. Hit that. That'll give you information, and it'll let you register there. Okay. If you want a little more information on it, let's see. I will put down in the information section in this video the links to where it is, and also another link to going to register for it. It's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to meet everybody. Cook a few hot dogs and hamburgers and hang out and talk and have a bonfire and just have a good time. All right. You all have a good day. Get busy. Remember, it's your responsibility. And whether other people are going to do it or not, you can if you set your mind on it. And remember, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.